Welcome back again, all you lovely souls, to I Love Balance. All right, so today we're still on day one of the protocol, but this is going to be a bonus video. And the reason it's a bonus video is because I'll be teaching you how to make our vegetable seaweed stock. And that's actually a base that we're going to be using for a lot of our other recipes. So I'm going to be showing you the ingredients that we're using. The first thing that I kind of want to talk about is the carrots that I have here. So you saw in one of my previous videos that I bought a big bag, about a 1 pounder bag of carrots, and they were mainly made for juicing. And why for juicing? Because it doesn't really matter what the carrot looks like, we discard the fiber. And in this case, we're doing the same with the stock. It's just that, see, these carrots kind of all look different, and some of them, like this one, has a little bit of it's rotting at the end. We're gonna cut the tips off, we're gonna wash them properly, but they all have all these weird shapes and sizes. And we've been conditioned to think in our society that we all need to look the same. And they do the same thing with the food. They think that everything needs to look the exact same, otherwise they get rid of it, and food waste is huge on this planet, which is pretty crazy considering the fact that a lot of people are starving. So we really don't want to be the ones to contribute to that madness. So we're still going to use the carrots, even though they look all different and weird. We're going to cut up, discard what we don't need, and then use them for the vegetable stock. So it says the recipe calls for 2 to 3. Because I'm going to be cutting off little bits and pieces of them, I used 5 here. We're going to be using 4 garlic cloves in the recipe. Here we have a whole bunch of parsley, and we're going to be using half of this bunch. We have some thyme yesterday that I got, and we're going to be using a whole stick of thyme. Same as a whole stick of rosemary, fresh rosemary here. We're going to be using 3 bay leaves. The whole recipe calls for 1 large onion, and I didn't find like a very big onion, so I bought 2 smaller sized ones, and I used different colors just to give variety, because if you use different colors, it has different nutrients, and we really want to get the maximum out of our nutrients. We're going to use this whole leek stock here, and then we're going to be using it calls for 4 celery stalks. There's a little bit more in here, but we're going to use the rest of this here. So I'm just going to prepare everything. I'm going to rinse them all out, and then we're going to chop them all up and put them into our pot. So let's start the process here. All right, so everything's been all washed properly with the help of my Kangen water, and for you, hopefully with filtered water. It doesn't really matter. We don't need to chop it up too crazy because everything's going in the big pot behind me, and it's going to be simmering for almost 3 hours. I'm just going to grab all of this. Hopefully nothing goes flying on the ground here. So we've got the celery and the parsley. So 4 celery stalks and half a bunch of parsley that's already been chopped. Now I'm going to grab the leek here. Just like that. And then again, I'm just going to roughly chop it all together. I'm going to grab this bunch already. Move it out of the way. So as you can see, it could be nice and easy. You don't need to overcomplicate things. You just roughly chop it all together, and you're good to go. If you have a really sharp knife at home, it helps. My blade is getting kind of dull, so it looks more complicated than it should be. So let's try and not drop anything here. Mission accomplished. Here, more of this. As you can see, the pot's already getting nice and full. Now I'm gonna chop my onions. Here. We're just gonna take the top layer off. Oh, there you go. My first little dropping here. My parents always said, bring your bowls to you. And don't risk dropping or wasting food, so I should have listened to them. Now here, a little trick to cut the garlic sometimes. It helps. Just get the top peel off. It helps even more when you chop the ends as well. So chop the hard end and then squish it. And then just like that. Chop the hard end, squish it. So we use a little bit of muscle strength here, which is not only are we exercising our mind, we're also exercising our body. Excellent. So I'm just going to chop them up nice and quickly. Careful not to cut your fingers. And this will be fine. Should I listen to my parents? I like being a rebel. All right, so now we have our fresh herbs here, our sprig of rosemary and a few of thyme. I'm gonna just chop this all up. Again, after we finish boiling everything for a few hours, we discard all of this stuff. So we're gonna strain everything. All right. And then we have our carrots left. So discarding the ends, maybe a little bit of some of the rough parts. All right, so now we're gonna chop up the carrots. As I've shown you, I've taken the dark tips off, so the ones that were kind of seem to be a little bit moldy. But as you can see, the carrot is fine on the inside. And when you see the little strings like this is just little sprouts that are growing out of the carrot. And usually when vegetables start growing sprouts, that's when they actually are the most nutritious. So you actually want to capitalize on that. We're not going to discard any of this because it's all fantastic. It's actually good for us. So we don't need to worry about it at all. And again, as I mentioned, all of this is going to be discarded at the end. We're gonna strain all of the fibers like this. So I'm just going to do about 2 at a time in chunks like this. Just like this. I'm gonna add these over here. Again, I'm gonna do 3 this time. Something that I also forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is the actual wakame flakes or dulce flakes or sea vegetable. So we're going to be using the sea vegetables. We're going to be using 5 tablespoons. In the recipe that I put on the protocol, I named different types. So you could use dulce, you could use hijiki, like there's a few different types. I have wakame on hand, so I'm gonna be using all of the wakame flakes here. Sea vegetables, super high in iodine, and it adds a pretty refreshing taste. So I'm gonna bring it over here, and I'm just gonna take about 5 tablespoons here. So 1, I'm gonna do this like this. 2, 3, 4, and about 5 here. Maybe a little bit more. There you go. And with the wakame flakes here, what's left is our 3 bay leaves. I'm gonna open this up. We can take the leaves out. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. And we're also gonna be adding some black peppercorn into the recipe, and I'm just gonna measure it just like that. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm just gonna take the lid off. And I'm just gonna go by eye. I like pepper. I'm gonna add a little bit more than I mentioned in the recipe. Just like this. Excellent. And now what we're gonna have to do is add 16 cups of water. So I'm gonna add the filtered water from Kangen, my clean water. Make sure that it's cold. So this is a 4-cup measuring cup. So I'm gonna fill it up to the 4 cups. And once the 4 cups are full, I'm gonna transfer it to the pot over here. And now already, I'm gonna turn this on to max because we're gonna bring all of this to a boil. And once it's boiled, then we're actually gonna lower it down to a very low simmer, more of like a medium low, and we're gonna simmer it for up to 3 to 4 hours. So we've got 8 cups now. We're going on 12. We're just gonna add 2 more like this. Go. And then 1 more. That's it, that's all.
Powering off.
All right. So I'm just gonna mix everything up in there with my wooden spoon. As you can see, it's pretty much all covered. And we're gonna have tons. The reason we're making so much is so we could have some leftovers, is so we could use it for other recipes. So this can keep in the refrigerator for up to 1 week, but what we're not gonna be using during the week, we will then freeze in our glass jars in order to use it and have it on hand when we need it. So I'm just gonna keep it all immersed here. I'm gonna cover it up. And we're gonna wait until this boils. And once this is boiled, that's when we lower the heat and simmer it down for 3 to 4 hours. And at the end of these 3 to 4 hours, we're gonna strain everything so that it's just the liquid that's left. Because if you buy your vegetable stock at the grocery store, you're just buying the liquid, right? You don't have all these vegetables flowing out. So we're gonna be doing the exact same thing. And you could buy it at the grocery store, but at the end of the day, you're guaranteed to know exactly what's in your recipe because you're doing it on your own here. It's gonna be fresh and it's gonna taste even better. So can't go wrong with homemade vegetable seaweed stock. All right, so our vegetable seaweed stock is finally boiling now. So I'm just gonna give it a little mix again. It's nice and hot, so we're gonna be careful. And oh my God, it already smells awesome. I'm just gonna lower it down now to about 3, so on a medium low. We're gonna keep it covered and we're going to put a timer on for 3 hours. 1 hour, 2, and 3. And done. Now we don't even have to leave it, we don't even have to touch it, and we could just leave it while we do other things in the meantime. All right, hey everyone, let's have a look at our vegetable seaweed stock that has boiled on a low simmer for almost 4 hours now, and I've let it cool down so that we could actually strain it, and we're only gonna keep the liquid here. So we're gonna start the process now. I've got everything organized for you. So we're just gonna grab the pot, we're gonna transfer it here without trying to make a mess. All right, I'm gonna use that for now. And I'm just gonna try and get it to strain properly. Because we just want to keep the liquid here. We're actually gonna discard the vegetables. We simmered them on a very low-medium heat for a long time. So we've gotten everything that we can out of them, right? Here for a second. I'm gonna put this. Let's have a look at how much we have so far. Oh, it's almost like I calculated it. Exactly 4 cups so far. So let's keep straining it. We have some more left over in the pot, but so it's pretty thick, as you can see. We want to make sure that we get all of the liquid out of there. Another alternative to even make it probably easier is grabbing the nut milk bag or a cheesecloth and using that instead, so that you could just actually push and press on it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then have a look at my nut milk recipes. All right. Actually, I'm just gonna press it out really good. See, another way to use our muscles again. That's pretty much all the liquid I could get from this, I think. What do you guys think? I think we pressed it out pretty good. I really don't like to waste, does it show? Not that I'm being cheap, but again, food waste is a big problem, and why contribute more to it? All right, we're gonna discard the rest of this. I'm just gonna put this here for now, and I'm gonna put it all in my compost after. Let's grab the rest here. Right. And then what's gonna happen now is we're gonna have about a little bit over 8 cups of vegetable stock, and we're gonna be able to use it for the rest of our meal plan. So ideally, we actually would want to, let's say, start a Sunday morning, go out, get our groceries, come back home, start the vegetable seaweed stock recipe, because it takes about 4 hours, right? And an extra hour to let it cool it down. And once you've drained everything, then you could use it as a base for the soups that we're gonna make afterwards, so that we can meal prep everything. So we're almost done with this as well. I'm actually gonna use a little bit more so it grips onto it right now, so it's helping me apply a little bit more pressure. Like I said, probably an easier way would be to use the nut bag milk. The nut milk bag, I should say. All right, we've pretty much gotten everything that we need out of this. I'm gonna drag this over here. And now, a little bit more here. Okay, so as you can see, we already have 4 cups here. I'm gonna use that. We're gonna transfer it right in. I'm gonna go on top here just in case I make a mess. Knowing myself, I usually do. There you go, 4 cups. How much more do we have here? Probably another 4 cups. Excellent, just a little bit more than 4. You should be able to add it all in here. Oh, see, I told you. Told you I would make a mess. All right, so I'm gonna actually save this because, as I mentioned, we're now gonna be doing our 2 different soups in the next video. All right, peace out.